Hello there and welcome back to some more Forza Horizon 5. Today we'll take a look at the newest Car Pass edition. This is the Porsche 911 Sport Classic. To redeem the Car Pass car, scroll over to the Buy and Sell tab in your homepage, click on Car Pass and you'll be able to redeem any outstanding cars you have from here. The 2010 Porsche 911 Sport Classic is in the Modern Supercars class and has 408 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds torque, 3,261 pounds of weight, is A-Class 756 PI and is rear-engined rear-wheel drive. The 2010 Porsche 911 Sport Classic is meant to harken back to the 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RS 2.7, an absolutely iconic Porsche 911, while also forging its own path. Big changes from the standard 911 Carrera S, from which this would be based. You can straight away see is the flat grey paint along with these muted grey stripes that go along with the car as well. Very, very nice. I love this colour scheme. You can also see here, painted in the same colour, this little side grille here, which is meant to harken back towards the 930 turbo cars of the 80s. Other big changes include these 19-inch alloy wheels, Fuchs alloy wheels, which look absolutely stunning. With the retro style and the black colour scheme, as well as the fact that despite being essentially a Carrera S with a lot of kit, a two-wheel drive Carrera S, this actually does get the wide body from the Carrera 4S and 911 Turbo. Also included is a little lip kit that you can see around the car, which really helps to enhance its presence, and a bump in performance over a standard Carrera S. Not too much of a bump in performance, admittedly. Over 400 brake horsepower standard car is 380. You can see here exclusive power kit, but essentially that just amounts to a different intake and I think a slightly different exhaust system. Also the ducktail spoiler on the rear, which is of course harkening back to the Carrera RS some more. I think it looks absolutely phenomenal on the outside. Really, this is probably my favourite looking of all the Porsche 911s. I love the 997 as it is. It's probably my favourite generation 911, either this or the 993. But I think in Sport Classic trim, it really knocks it out of the park. It has so much presence. It's such a special looking vehicle. On the interior as well, this carries over a unique colour scheme. Usually a brown interior would not be what you'd want. However, in this case, I mean, it looks absolutely stunning. There's also little touches such as a slightly different gear shifter, a different clock. You can also see in the instrument cluster the stripes from the car are also carried over onto here, and I believe it is a brown interior with some silver inlets as well, again continuing on with the theme of the car. Not usually a fan of 911 interiors, I'll be honest. Usually I think they're a little bit overblown in how great they are, but I think in this case, in this colour, it does look absolutely phenomenal. And ultimately, if I was to own a 911, any 911, if I had my random pick, such a thing happen, I would easily choose the 911 Sport Classic. Other small changes as well from the standard car include the introduction of the Porsche Performance Kit, which gives you slightly different suspension and also carbon ceramic brakes, so it should stop pretty well. Of course, I'm not the only one who thinks this is a fantastic 911. They made 250 of these and they sold out within 48 hours, and I mean, I can't really blame the people who've bought these things. Nowadays I'd imagine they're worth a bloody pretty penny, but at least we get to admire it in our garages in Horizon 5. An extraordinary looking bit of kit. However, there are a couple of issues with this car. The first one being it's in the Modern Supercars class, which means this 911 has to compete with the McLaren 720S, the Ford GT, cars like that. And sure, the BMW i8 is a similar PI and for some reason is also in Modern Supercars, but I feel like this car would be a lot more fitting in the Modern Sports Car class. Sure, that is a class which is pretty much overrun with cars, even Porsches, the Cayman and so on. However, I feel like it would be a better fit. In this class, it does feel a little bit out of its depth. Sure, you can upgrade the car, but you run a very high risk of ruining its driving dynamics. Being a rear-wheel drive, rear-engined car, if you add much more power to this, I can imagine it gets a little bit squirrely. However, the bigger issue for the Forza community right now is technically speaking, we've paid for this car 3 times, I believe. The one I remember is Forza Motorsport 4. This was part of the Porsche DLC pack. I can't quite remember when this car was DLC again, although considering we've seen Porsche packs through Motorsport 6, Horizon 3, so on and so forth, I wouldn't be too surprised if it was one of those games, although citation needed on that one. And yeah, paying for the same car a few times over, not a great practice. Also, the fact the car pass, let's be honest, really should just be reserved for new additions to the series. This is the first time in this game cycle we've seen this, although of course Forza is no stranger to charging us for cars. Twice. Horizon 4's car pack system was incredibly underwhelming for that reason. A lot of reused assets from Forza Motorsport 4. Hopefully this isn't a trend we see continuing. There's a lot of upgraded versions of standard cars in the car pass currently, and by the looks of it, looking through here, there are no further plans at the moment for cars that have already been in the game, although again, you know, the Subaru, the Huracan and the later Golf R, you know, they are essentially iterations of previous vehicles. So hopefully this doesn't set a dangerous precedent, but for me personally, this being my favourite 911, I just really like looking at it. Sure, you could say, you know, I can understand why people would be angry about this being in the car pass. However, for me personally, I mean, I just like the car so much, I can almost overlook it. And that being said, the festival playlist this week has a unique car, the Neo EP9, which I will also be covering. And why they wouldn't swap those cars around and put this in the festival playlist, I don't really understand. Free content, I feel people don't really have much of a leg to stand on in terms of complaining over what they get for free. But when you enter into paid DLC content, that is when it can start getting a little bit slippery. In fact, going on that tangent made me forget, we do need to take a quick look at this car's upgrades to see if it has any unique ones, and you won't be too surprised to find out that it doesn't. You can do an engine swap, the 3.8 litre flat 6 twin turbo from a GT2 RS, which probably overpowers the chassis of this car, and of course your aero is the usual stuff. The tow hook actually aligns quite nicely into where the hole for it is on the car, which is nice, and the rear wing is a standard Forza affair. Doesn't quite fit on there massively nicely, however it is very nice that it is a subtle wing and doesn't get rid of the ducktail. But that really is it for the Porsche 911 Sport Classic, so I do hope you've enjoyed. As I mentioned, I am going to be covering the Neo EP9. That video should be out tomorrow, just before it goes out of the festival playlist, so look out for that. And I shall see you next week for a look at the next Car Pass edition. So join us for that. Until then, farewell.